he calls me and he says, and I was like, okay. And I went up to him and said, how may I help you, sir? And he wanted a blanket. I gave him the blanket. The problem was solved. And then I told him that, sir, if you look up, this is the call button. If you press this, the bell goes ding dong. Any of us will come and would be more than happy to help you.
What do you call a high and what do you call a low in this industry?
High for me is when a flight schedule is being circulated. Low is when we're constantly going and staying in 5-star hotels and we have to request the chef to make some home-style bhindi fry for us. There was this one South Indian actor that I recently flew with, Charan, and he had this little coach by the name Ryan. I was thinking to myself, who is he? Like, the dog was sitting on the seat. I was going to go sit on the jump seat. Then he thought I'm going to be sitting there. And he took the dog and put it in his lap. And so very kindly, he offered me to sit there.
She's from a small town in Punjab, raised in Jammu, and her late teens and early 20s, she decided to move to Delhi. Did a couple of odd jobs. And then, one fine day, she cracked an interview with a airline company that changed her life forever. Today, my guest is someone who's been with the aviation industry for about 20 years and has flown pretty much everywhere in India and with a lot of people who are extremely important, not just to our country, but to the world. Celebrities like Shahrukh Khan and Shilpa Shetty are just a few names with whom she has flown. My guest today is Rupali Bajaj. And in today's conversation, I'm going to ask her experience about the aviation industry. How did she survive for 20 years? Being a veteran in this industry, does she suggest that people should be a part of it? How does she feel she grew as a person while working for 20 years in this industry? So I'd like you all to tune into Arun Bhagwati Chronicles, watch this podcast, and enjoy. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to have you on that podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. So I am going to dive right into the questions, and I want you to tell our audience about your experience in the aviation industry for the last 20 years. My first question to you is going to be, you have flown with celebrities. You have flown with a lot of celebrities. So start with one celebrity that you would like to talk about and somebody who's left an impression in your career.
Well, without giving it a thought, the first name that pops, or I have that memory that's been like instilled, and that memory is it always comes out over drinks whenever we're sitting. Even though I've told that story 100,000 times, it's like just happened. It happened yesterday. So, Mr. Shahrukh Khan. Yeah. So, do you want like the whole story in detail?
Yes.
With the full expression, the feeling, because that's how I felt it.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So, 2005, right, is when I actually entered aviation. I mean, that was Kingfisher Airlines, right? And there's definitely a backstory how I got there. That's maybe a different podcast, but so it was my third, maybe a week. I'd just been flying for a week or something, and before the flight, at that time there was no business class. There was one full economy class, and Shahrukh Khan and obviously Gauri Khan and the kids. They were supposed to be traveling with us. Now, what happens is when a celebrity is traveling or supposed to be traveling, then they put, 2 of the in-flight managers or maybe 3 of the senior people, they have to put, they like to put so that everybody's taken care of, especially those celebrities, right? And we had 2 in-flight managers on board. And me being 7 days old in aviation, and top of that, that was the first time I ever sat in an aircraft. I'd never sat in an aircraft, never flew in an aircraft before joining Kingfisher. So anyways, 7 days into flying, and we get this information that tomorrow we're going to be flying Mr. Shahrukh Khan. And I was obsessed, like everybody else on this earth, obsessed with Shahrukh Khan, right? And luckily, my friend, one of my very close friends, who was the in-flight manager, one of the in-flight managers over there, and she was taking care of the forward galley, and they put me in the back galley. I was a fresher, like, so you with the back, you make your way, uh, towards the forward as you grow. So now, since she was my very good friend, now everybody, all the other crew, they wanted to start the service from row one, because Shahrukh Khan, of course, he'd be, assigned row one, right? And everybody's after me, like, please put me in the row one. Please, can I do the service from row one? Can I do the cleaning, clearing from row one? And obviously, I requested her as well. And she was really grateful. She put me with her in the in the front. She's like, you do your work, finish up after work, and come to me quickly. I just finished my work and I went in the forward galley. Now there were how many people? Like 100 people, 70, like whatever the capacity of the aircraft was. I don't really remember now.
Was the flight full?
So it was full chock-a-block.
Okay.
Exactly my point is where I'm getting at. The flight was full. And on that flight, I could only see Shahrukh Khan. I did not see his wife. I did not see the kids. Everything was blur. I did not see anyone. After landing is when I got to know, oh, Mrs. Gauri Khan was also there. And the kids were also there. And I was like, I did not even see them. And I was 25 at that time. I was a child, starstruck and, whatnot about Shahrukh Khan. And so she calls me and she's like, okay, Rupali, you start clearing from row one, where Shahrukh Khan was sitting, right? And I went to him. He had eaten his food and I had to clear the tree. And you're standing, he's sitting, you bend a little and, you clear the tree. And of course, the proximity gets a little closer. You're looking at Shahrukh Khan. And he looked at me while I was picking his tray. And he's like, can I have a cup of coffee? And that was the time we were having a few seconds of eye contact wherein he had asked me for a coffee, right? And me being me, I was like, sir, could I please look at you for 3 more seconds? And he smiles like, okay, go ahead. I got the acknowledgement and
You're a gentleman.
He smiles like with that Shahrukh Khan charm. And I just did not know where to look, what to do. Like, do I look at his dimples? Do I look at his eyes? Do I look at his smile? What do I do? Anyway, cut to, I looked at him and it is so old, this incident. This is an incident for me, actually, meeting Shahrukh Khan once in a lifetime. And when I looked at him for 3 seconds, I said to him, my heart is skipping beats right now. And he smiled. And I cleared the tray and I went back to the galley to prepare now coffee for him, which he had asked for earlier, right? 20 minutes pass by. I'm standing in the galley. My hands are shaking. The cups rattling. I am not able to make coffee. It's been 20 minutes, right? And my in-flight, since the flight was, absolutely full, and my in-flight manager comes to me and she's like, what are you doing? You're creating, there's so many people in the galley, clear the space, and what are you doing the past 20 minutes? I'm looking at you standing here. I'm making coffee for Shahrukh Khan. Oh, you're making coffee for Shahrukh Khan? Okay, yeah, take your time. It's fine. Take your time. I made the coffee, of course. Too many trials. I had to make the coffee. I made the coffee and I gave it to him, and that was Shahrukh Khan for you.
That was introduction. That was very interesting. So, what I see is two angles over here. One is that you were new, you were young and you were new.
Yeah.
And here, with a new job, you don't expect such a high-end celebrity to be one of your first few that you're serving. So from a hospitality perspective, how hard was it for you to manage somebody of that, stature in terms of stardom and, fame? Because he's a big guy, he's a celebrity. So you still have to follow your black book of management on how you need to, take care of your passengers. So are you given some extra tips when celebrities are flying with you?
Well, if you ask me, back then in 2005, I was not doing anything. I was just busy getting starstruck, like everybody. Now we do have, because obviously you've flown for 20 years, and with celebrities, mainly it is, for everybody actually, confidentiality and keeping their lives private, and, refrain from clicking the pictures, because these days, like social media, you click a picture and, within seconds, it's on your story and it's there for everybody to, watch it. And when these people are traveling, corporates, they like to keep their life private. That's why they're flying private, right?
So these people are flying corporates. What does that mean?
Corporate aviation and private jets, right? Right. So, which is in fashion now, like really in fashion. Everybody wants to fly private for whatever their reasons are. Like all the businessmen, they want to get there like as fast as possible. And, earlier, they want to, just skip standing in all the queues and all the mayhem that one has to go through once when you go on a commercial airline. So all that just cuts down.
I'll come back to your early aviation days first, and then we'll come back.
Yes, that'll be a good.
You started with Kingfisher, and what I remember of Kingfisher Airlines is that it was the best airlines when it was at its peak, and I think the grooming that a lot of the people bought when they worked with Kingfisher was very good. So she is one person that a celebrity. I'm sure you must have met a lot of them. What is the general difference that you see when you see a rich person flying? Now I'm going to use the word rich person flying, and a celebrity flying. So somebody has money is not a celebrity, and somebody is a celebrity. So when you're flying with these two different classes of people, what is it that you experience, and how is it different?
Okay, now this is going to be absolutely my experience. It's personally speaking, depends upon the situation, because not all rich people are same, not all celebrities are same. Some of the people I've been very, very fortunate. And I'm so grateful to the universe. I have met some amazing, cultured people. They've got the best head on their shoulders, that the money is running through their noses, but they're the most humble people that I've met while flying corporate aviation, and with the celebrities as well. But then there's a you would like Mr. Shahrukh Khan. He's the most gentle person. He is a proper gentleman. We'll call you as ma'am, he'll address you as ma'am.
So you have flown with businessmen, you have flown with celebrities. Who out of the two is more comfortable to kind of deal with? Because when you're flying with them, and I'm talking about your early days, I'm not talking about the corporate and private jets right now, I'm talking about your early days. So you experienced Shahrukh Khan when you were flying Kingfisher. I'm sure you must have flown with businessmen as well. So what is it that you usually see in terms of what's the difference in terms of your service towards them based on how they are?
See, when we talk about my early days, when I started flying, and that was commercial airlines that I started with, Kingfisher Airlines, I flew with commercial airlines only for 3 years. Rest, all of my experience has been with corporate aviation. And at that time, to be very honest, I was too young and too busy to experience all the experiences for me to register any difference between them, because we were not, celebrities flying or some businessman is flying. They're sitting, you don't know the names. I mean, it's written on the manifest when we're serving them, and there is no, any extra conversation with them that happens or happened at that time with me. So there is no difference that I see in my early days. But yes, over a period of time when it's very distinctive, when I'm flying corporate aviation, when a celebrity flies and when businessmen fly, it's absolutely different. Celebrities. And I'm not generalizing. Few of them, obviously, I mean, they're celebrity. They have an air about them, which is justifiable, of course. But some people tend to just cross that line and just start throwing their weight around, which is not good.
True.
All that's needed out of you to be kind. And some of them have such amazing energy. There was this one South Indian actor that I recently flew with, Charan, main lead of RRR. I had heard RRR, the movie, in the passing, you watch TV and something when it's blowing out of proportion, the name gets into your ears, and then that's all I knew. It's some movie and it's doing really well. And little did I know that it was him. I was gonna fly the next day. He bought with his team. He had a whole team with him, and he had this little pooch by the name Ryan. Everybody sits and everybody's really catering to him, sir this, sir that. I was thinking to myself, who is he? Is he some celebrity? Is he some businessman? Is he some famous figure? But I don't know. So anyway, after we took off, and before we took off, so the dog was sitting on the seat, I was going to go sit on the jump seat, but then he thought I'm going to be sitting there. And he took the dog and put it in his lap. And so very kindly, he offered me to sit there. Nobody does that, They are busy people. They have 20 other things going on in, their mind for whatever project they are going to, on that flight. These small little things make you realize that there are celebrities who are in touch with
reality.
The reality and humility that should exist in everybody, whenever you're dealing with anybody, everybody actually.
That must be very nice for you, guys.
Yeah, and I didn't know. And cut to, I did my service and everything. And after the service, so by then, I knew the team, we're talking, we would build some sort of rapport with them. And I just spoke to the team and I just whisper, who is he? Is he a celebrity? And the team was like, yes, ma'am, he's a very big superstar in South India and this and that. And I was like, oh, really? So should I be taking a picture with him? Is he that famous? Imagine. Can you imagine how ignorant I was? And they're like, yes, take a picture, And that's when I took a picture. It was so warm and we took pictures and everything. And after landing, when I told my friends, when I gave them the news, and they went berserk. They're like, you didn't know who you were flying? I was like, no, dude, I just didn't know. I was so busy with my work and this I have to serve. And the passenger, for me, all passengers are the same. For me, everybody, as a flight attendant, I make sure they don't feel the need to press the call bell. Everything is sorted before that they don't, I have to think on their behalf. I have to anticipate 20 steps ahead of they're going to be asking me this, that's the kind of readiness I expect out of myself. I don't know why, because maybe I've flown for, 20 years, but I wasn't like that, of course. I was the most rash person with open hair. In 2005, we were, Kingfisher, we were allowed to leave our hair open and fly.
I remember.
Yeah. So everybody was just going gala or opening their hair. And I remember my base manager once standing in the cabin and I was standing. It's like, I'm wearing that red uniform, the nice skirt and my hair curly like this. And my base manager, Rupali, you look like a rock star in the cabin. I said, yeah, my guitar is only, missing. So, yeah.
So very interesting. So I'm going to ask you some objective type questions, like a yes no answer question as well. Yeah.
That's tough, man.
Is it hectic?
Oh, hectic is an understatement. Understatement. But
Do you enjoy it?
enjoyment is an understatement.
You love it?
Love is an understatement.
So how would you describe this life of yours up 10,000 miles in the air? 10,000 feet in the air.
Grateful that universe landed me in this profession because I breathe aviation. I breathe aircrafts. I breathe airports. I breathe hotels. I breathe restaurants. I breathe aviation.
Wow.
Period.
That means you really love the profession. And would you suggest the younger lot, the Gen Zs and the youth, to look at this as a profession, whether it is becoming a commercial pilot or being a part of the crew? Do you suggest the younger lot to?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But you know what? This industry is such, just like being a doctor, being a pilot, being a teacher, very sensitive positions where you put at, wherein you are responsible for the souls. They're not people anymore. You, like for a teacher, they're bringing up the souls. If you're not passionate being a teacher, if you're not passionate about being a doctor, if you're not passionate about aviation or, hospitality, you cannot perform well. You cannot reach the height of perfection. I mean, I know there is always room for improvement, but there is certain level of, je ne sais quoi that, is required, especially in aviation industry. And that cannot happen if you're not passionate about it. And obviously you're not born with passion, but I would say, coming back to your question, they should definitely give it a try. If for a flicker of a second, a thought is popped in their head to exploring it, I think they should explore it and then they will know.
A lot of my audience who are watching this right now, I want to share this with you, that a lot of you have seen air hostesses. A lot of you have seen commercial pilots. I'm sure a lot of you have flown on planes. The idea of bringing Rupani onto the podcast today is because she is at a level much above this. And having said that, my next question is going to be, let's talk about some cricketers. So you have flown with cricketers as well, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have.
Who's the naughtiest cricketer that you've flown with? Naughty, like somebody who's genuinely naughty.
Genuinely. I don't think, first of all, I haven't flown with all of them.
Yeah.
But I've flown, like I've flown with Mr. Virat, Kohli, No, actually I did fly with him. I bumped into him. I remember. Naughtiest naughtiest, I seriously, to be honest.
Or somebody who is full of energy. So you could sense that person's energy as soon as they stepped into your flight.
I think Mr. Shubman Gill, that I just recently flew, and oh my God, I didn't know who he was before he, boarded. I just knew that we're taking some cricketers with our main lead who was bringing them home after this very important match that happened in Ahmedabad recently. And they had this huge cricket kits and, everything. And as usual, everybody boarded and we took off. And, our main lead replied, who this is? I said, sir, I'm sure he's a cricketer, but then I really don't know the new guys. I literally said, I don't know the new guys. I'm really sorry, my way. And he was like just very quick to jump in and made me feel comfortable. Like, oh, no, that's fine, it's okay. And my name is this. And actually, we belonged from the same hometown also, like, where my father belongs from, Punjab. And I had at that time, I didn't know. I got to know later on, and when everybody told me, it's like, you should ask him this. Like, no, I'm going to just serve, and that's it. So yeah, that was a very crazy. I mean, there's a lot that goes. That obviously it becomes personal information that I can't reveal out. So my lips are a little tied here, but he's a gem of a person again. Very warm, very down to earth. And when the main lead told me, oh, you know what, he's gonna be the next Sachin Tendulkar and next this and next that. Like, he's gonna just try to tell me how good he is in cricket. And he was like, oh, no, sir. And he was being so humble about it. With his, I could feel the energy that he had no air about him at all.
You've given a very nice, a very positive impression of most of your clientele. And I completely believe it, that all these people who are sitting up there, they are actually very humble people.
Yeah.
They are not arrogant. They don't show their money. They are not rude. They are in fact very friendly, and they ensure that, they make you comfortable. Yeah. So is there any other sports person that you've flown with and you have a memory that you would like to share with us?
A sports person? No, not actually. I don't really remember. Or maybe if I did, nothing really out of the, blow that happened that would have registered in my memory. So, but having spoken about the positive side, I have a very important negative experience also. I wouldn't say negative because end of it, that passenger was a changed man, I would say. But it could be an example wherein I would be able to throw some light on how people could be on the contrary also,
Yeah, please tell us.
It's absolutely the contrary of being humble. So, 2005, I'm new, I'm a child, I'm very raw, and I'm very, jumpy all the time. And I just love to be in the cabin. Like, I remember my managers asking me, because everybody's delegated, you're delegated the work, right? You will do this, you will do that, because according to the positions that we are assigned before the flight, right? Every flight. So she'll ask me, why do you want to be in the cabin or in the galley? I was like, no, I'm never in the galley. Put me in the cabin. I want to interact with people. I want to do that. I don't want to be in the back, in the galley. So anyway, we were passing. I was passing by in the galley, and there's one passenger who was sitting on the window seat, right? And two seats right next to him were empty. I was passing by, and of course, he calls me and he says this. And I was like, okay, lovely. I go up to him and I'm like, may I help you, sir? Or how may I help you? Right? I didn't feel angry at that time at all. Of course, I mean, a little part of me was like, what's up, dude? This is not the way to call. But then, of course, I had my uniform on and I had to be a little strategic about it. And I went up to him and said, how may I help you, sir? And, he wanted a blanket, or, I gave him the blanket and whatever. The problem was solved. And then I told him, and that, sir, if you look up, this is the call button. If you press this, the bell goes ding dong. And any of us will come and would be more than happy to help you. That's the correct way to call a flight attendant, not like this.
So,
right?
We see this on YouTube many a times. You'll see reels and shorts of chaos, like chaotic situations inside aeroplanes. Have you ever experienced something like that?
Never. I've only seen in media that today, these days. in my previous life, I would say, in commercial and in corporate, nothing happens really. Or if it did, I've never experienced it. But in commercial, I have never experienced. Never. It has not happened on my flight. It has not happened while I was flying that I heard somebody went through it. I had not seen it in social media. I had not seen it in news also. I have not been, been faced with that reality of the world.
Quite crazy to see these videos these days.
I only had people coming doing this. That was the intensity at that time. This Mara PT and crews getting slapped. Oh, actually, I remember once it did happen, and not with me, with one of my very senior flight attendant who was heading the flight at that time. Where some delay, how it's always the delay. There was some technical error or something, and they were being made to sit at the airport for 2, 3, 4 hours. And when they boarded, one person just slapped.
Whom?
The group who was standing at the boarding station welcoming everybody onto the flight.
Because
That person was just aggravated that he had to wait for a few hours. And now these gruntled passengers were sent on the flight, on the aircraft, just like that.
Was it a man or was it a...
It was a man and who slapped a woman. I have not, this is a story I've heard. It happened, yes, for sure, but I don't know how hard the slap was or what happened after, because, all these things, they're just hit.
Yeah.
After that. So yeah, this is something that I'd faced, but then at that time, the intensity wasn't this. Here, it is so frequent in this time. Yeah. Somebody's getting slapped. Pilot is getting slapped. The other day, I watched some video. This pilot was getting thrashed. It's not safe.
So you have seen a change in the service industry in the last 20 years. Have you experienced celebrity kids or kids of businessmen who have, boarded flights, whether it's corporate or it's commercial? What has your experience been with celebrity kids or kids who come from blessed homes? How is their behavior?
Again, there will be a differentiation, right? All the humble, rich families that I was talking about, now their kids are 10 steps ahead in being humble than them. They are so well brought up. They are so conscious and aware who they are, what's the family they are representing. I'm getting goosebumps saying that, because it is such a beautiful experience when you and they're children. They can think. They're allowed to think or have air about them or feel superior to everybody else around them and everything. But no, they are so mannerful. They're just
very nice.
Very nice. All of them. Not even one single child that I've experienced who doesn't know how to carry themselves in the public, in public eyes.
Can you share another awkward incident like the one you shared where this person was snapping his fingers and calling you? Do you have another incident like this that you can share?
I would like to continue that because the ending was really nice. Because my intention is not to get head to head in fight with the passengers. And the point is, if he did today this, he will do again tomorrow with some other flight attendant. So the point is, the problem is not being solved. So my what's the word that you call? So basically, I always try to pacify the situation, find a solution so that that person does not repeat that mistake again, right? So anyway, when I said that, I had given him the blanket again, right? Blanket. He took the blanket and he slept off throughout the flight. After the service and everything, I was passing by the galley again, and then he says, "Excuse me, ma'am." The same guy who had done this was a changed man. And he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." He learned it. Not everybody learns it. I don't know what flipped in him that he just said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I obviously appreciate it. It's a, now you're sounding literate. That is the proper way to call anyone, actually. And we shared a smile and we exchanged a smile, and then that was it. There was no complaint made, or because I never disrespected him, right?
True.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
So when he was stepping out of the flight, he basically apologized in his own way.
In his own way.
That's very
And he will never now call anyone, forget about the a flight attendant, he will never call anyone with this gesture ever, which is such a beautiful thing.
What about flying with the divas, actresses, and models? So how would you share that kind of an experience? So if you're flying with an actress, you're flying with a supermodel, or you're flying with somebody who's a fairly popular woman.
Yeah.
How was your experience with them, and can you share an incident that
Oh yes.
interesting,
Oh yes, absolutely.
something that would give us masala?
Masala, not really masala, but then these are like just my experiences that touched me at
Yeah.
that time. So I'll talk about Mrs. Shilpa Shetty Kundra. When I flew her, I mean, she's a diva. I mean, you said diva, and she is a diva, right? Obviously, she was flying with her team, and her husband, Mr. Karan Kundra, was also there on the flight. We were taking them to Gujarat for one of their appearances or something like that, must be. And oh my God, both of them, the warmest people. I am not kidding. I know, you must be thinking, wow, man, all your experiences have been like so nice with them. Nobody said it being, been nasty to you ever or something. But no, like not at that level. Yes, I have, but I don't know if I can share those. But Shilpa Shetty and Raj Kundra, right? It's like I'm sitting with, people next door, and when they, so she's like, "Rupali, my team is there. I will go outside in 10 minutes. I mean, I'll get down the aircraft after 10 minutes because she need to do something." It's like, like a friend, like, you look out, she wanted me to look out for her. Just make sure it's like, this is shut and no one's coming. And I was meeting her for the first time. And when the team got back and we had to bring them back to Mumbai, and they got me some kuchu. They were carrying some kuchu snacks or something. And Shilpa said, Rupali, we got some amazing kuchu food. You have to taste this. I mean, we were on ground, we'd not even taken off. And, I was doing my work. I had to clear, secure the cabin and galley and everything. So she's saying, no, you have to taste this right now. You have to taste. She literally put this in my mouth. I was just like, okay. Who does that? And then they were so kind enough, and Shilpa Shetty, I wanted to take a picture with her, and Mr. Kundra, he's like, can I also come in the picture? Like they were like kids, and both of them, what a beautiful connection both of them shared. In between was another thing, like we hear so many rumors, and when you meet them, and you're like, oh my God, this is nothing. What are the people talking about?
Media hype, basically.
Yeah, media hype. And I used to think, no, there could be something. There can't be, no fire without smoke. But actually not.
In all these years that you've been flying, have you ever been offered jobs by these, celebrities and big businessmen? Have they ever walked up to you or shared this desire of you coming and joining their team, that, hey, instead of doing this, why don't you come and be with us and, do something with us?
Yes.
Please share your
Yes.
experience.
I won't say just recently, but then see, it's not all the time that they would outright, approach you like that, unless you've been flying that person for a very long time and you have certain rapport. And because otherwise, everybody, maintains their distance, and we as thorough professionals, we have to maintain that, distance and not cross the line. But yes, sometimes they do, and I was being offered um, to join as a personal support to one of the principals, one of the industrialists, his son's daughter.
What is a principal?
Okay, so principal is the word that we use, for the main owner who owns the aircraft. Let's say, who owns the company that we fly for. That is a more respectful, respectable word that's used worldwide. So just to differentiate from who's who in your list, in the list of your passengers that you're gonna fly tomorrow, day after, whatever, like, right? So if flying, who you're flying, principal and his family.
Principal is the owner of the aircraft.
Owner of the aircraft, owner of that organization who has that aircraft, main passenger, basically, the main lead passenger, the big boss, super boss.
So a passenger could be a principal, and even the owner of the company who owns all the jets.
It's just a different word that we use for those people.
Fair enough. Okay.
Just to give them more respect. Okay. I mean, a person who's who owns a lakh crore of the company. It's just nice to call them sir, yes, but then principal, because then everybody knows, because everything happens in writing, the communication with the whole team. There's not just flight attendant and, the pilots. There's a whole team that comes together to, work on that particular flight. And everybody needs to be on the same page, who's flying, where, what are they eating, everything, right? So then that paper, so that everybody knows who's flying, it's easier to understand, okay, principal himself is flying. Because these guys, they have the aircraft, not always that they are flying. Sometimes just, people at a senior management, they will fly and they have to go to a certain destination for a certain meeting. Sometimes they also fly. So then we don't write principal, right? But when the main guy who owns the aircraft, that means, okay, alert is on, nothing should go wrong. Principal is flying.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So about a strange job offer that, you might have got. So
yes.
Please share one incident.
Yes. I would not call it as a strange job offer, because it's pretty common for people like us, especially being in the private corporate aviation. This is a very common jobs that are floating around, which is very common in abroad. Now I've seen that they've started popping up here and there, and people are becoming more aware of job offers, like, profiles like house manager, of a personal support, au pair, which is it's a different, it's basically a companion, right? Companion in terms of like a guardian, let's say, who's going to take care of your life, gonna work as a shadow.
Lifestyle manager?
No, I wouldn't say lifestyle manager. It's more like a guardian's job. Let's say, your child is all alone, living in a, country, and you can't be there physically present on a daily basis to take care of their well-being. So you appoint someone, they have choices. You can appoint normal people as well, like, from other professions, but appointing someone from aviation is a more, it's a better choice for them, because then people from aviation, they are overall groomed. They deal with, like, for example, me, I just don't have to wear my uniform, look nice, and I go on the flight. There is loads of work that we do pre-flight, wherein we have to manage with multiple people from different levels, of their profiles, like handlers, the ground people, for catering, chefs, hotel managers, restaurant managers, everything, right? So there's that sense of multitasking is way more, and getting the job done is somehow, I feel, is inculcated when it comes to flight attendants.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. So you are given a task and you are expected to achieve it within that stipulated time in the best possible way.
expected is not an option. We have to, because that is the time. There is a time we're going to take off. There's a time we're going to land, right? So that is the window we have. We have to do everything in that.
How important is the pilot's role once the plane is flying? You have your VIP guest, you have your principal who's already in the flight. After that, how important? Of course, the pilot is flying the plane, and that is very obvious. Apart from that, in terms of rapport building, interaction, making announcements, how much of that plays a role in building a better relationship with the client?
Okay. First of all, it's not a requirement for cockpit crew to build any kind of rapport, because, for us, it's passengers are flying. We have to take them from, destination A to destination B, right? But yes, at times when we have very important people, for example, recently I flew Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia. He's an important entity, right? So it depends. I mean, nobody tells you have to go, but pilots do, out of their kindness and just to make sure everything goes smooth. And we want the flight to go as smooth as possible, right? No complaints after. So pilot sometimes goes, if everything is fine and you're comfortable, and it's just a nice gesture. So yes, they don't have to do it, but they do it.
Okay, so
at times.
At times, you spoke about Mr. Scindia, and I was asking about politicians. How does it feel to be flying with a political figure? Is it the same as
hectic?
Hectic. Their entourage is bigger.
Yes, it is.
So one celeb minimum brings how many people along with him or her?
Sometimes they're alone. Sometimes it's the aircraft is full. Let's say, it's an 8-seater, 9-seater. It's full. Yes.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people, like, for example, one of our principals, I won't name, he has his nutritionist flying with him. He has his PA flying with him. He has his physical fitness trainer flying with him. One person who is not two cooks are flying with them. It's like the whole entourage in terms of, like, they should be comfortable.
Have you guys ever flown a politician when elections were going on?
I did a lot of election flying in my previous, organizations, operators, but not much here, not much in my current organization. But yes, we did a couple of here and there politician flying.
Is it hectic at that time?
It is hectic because, see, they have to get to somewhere that rushing for the campaigns and things like that, and they have too many people and too much noise to do. They're stopping all the time, and then they're busy, and we will also have like that 15 minutes of flying or 30 minutes of flying. We have to ask what they want, and we have to serve and get done with it, right? And they're just busy because they're on some important work that they've come for. And plus, they don't have just one sector, right? They have to go there, and then they have to fly there, because in one day, they have appearances all over. So those days get hectic.
So I want to understand that this private jet, flying in private jet, this culture is not more than 30 years old, approximately. I'm sure people have been flying private jets for a long time. Yes. But it has become very common in the last 30 years that, if you're making a substantial amount of money, it is not for status. It is specifically for time, to save time. People have started flying private jets. They've started flying corporate. That's what the word is that you've been using, corporate. So what is the psychology behind most of these people who are flying corporate? Why do they fly that? Why not take a, business class or or something fancy and fly a commercial?
Well, to get the answer, you have to experience it yourself and you'll know the answer. That said, it's north and south difference, right? Yes. Because see, in commercial, everything is pre-decided. You know there's a casserole, you have to heat it and it's going to get distributed. There is no conversation. There is no plating happening. There is no creativity of, okay, this guest likes to eat this with this at this temperature. We go into the nitty-gritty of the details. If once a passenger is flown with us and if she likes to drink tea or any cold beverage with a straw, in corporate jets, she will get the straw next time when she comes, even if she doesn't mention it.
If they want to, for example, if they decide that they want to smoke,
it's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
It's not on domestic sectors. It's not. So that's complete.
And what about a request for a sparkling wine, a sparkling champagne, or a wine or something?
No. So domestic flying, it's by rule, it's not allowed, right?
So no alcohol, no smoking when you're flying.
No alcohol.
But food is served. And whatever they want in terms of food is served.
Absolutely, the sky is the limit, and then it's a flight attendant's job to source the best food from that place, according to what they like.
During your tenure flying corporate, has there ever been a time when you, due to weather or for some other reason, got stuck in some sector with a principal or a client or a celebrity, and you just had to kind of, calm the person down, because now it was your responsibility to ensure that this person, doesn't get agitated. That, you guys are going to get late flying. Has there ever been an incident like this?
Yes, many times, because, these days, there's so many aircrafts, there's so many private aircrafts, and, our Delhi airport is as busy as any other airport in a metropolitan, right? So the delays tend to happen in winters. Of course, delays are supposed to happen and everything. I think that's the beauty of corporate aviation. They just know. They know this information that it is out of our control, right? Unless there's because of some technical error, it's getting delayed or something. That's a different story altogether. But then everything is so streamlined. The communication, the channels are very streamlined, wherein seconds are counted as well. So there is we don't leave any room of error at all.
Have you ever experienced somebody emitting so much of aura that you could feel power? You could feel the power in that person's aura. Someone that you did not interact much with, but you could sense that person's presence in the flight.
Dr. Mallya.
Yeah. How was the experience with him?
Okay, so I met him for the first time, of course, during my interview, right, in 2005 when I got selected for Kingfisher Airlines. He usually makes it a practice that he's there physically present for all the final round of the interview, right? That was the first time when I met him. And second time, I was at that time too busy with the interview, too nervous and all of that. So that went by. Second time when I met him was Kingfisher used to host Christmas party at the Taj, I think, at that time. There he had come. So our whole shebang, the whole organization was there, and he had Black Cat commandos walking with him. And that's when I saw him walking. He was walking with his commandos and he was entering. I was like, he was maybe 1 feet away from me, but I could feel his energy till here. There was this, what you call that Hindi word, there was this tej on his face, in his whole aura. like someone has arrived. He's doctor. Otherwise, like, there's a lot of celebrities like we were discussing that I've met. I have not felt with them also.
But
He's the only person, yes, till date,
yeah,
that I met.
and he's also had quite a life.
Oh, absolutely.
He's had quite a life. I mean, starting off from his early days back in the 70s to Kingfisher Airlines. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of story behind it.
I'm sure you all know the story, but then, well, my loyalty lies with Dr. Mallya and Kingfisher Airlines. I think I'm going to love them till the end of it.
Yeah,
All of us.
there are a
We're
lot of
just
people.
such a nice bond, yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who actually have very fond memories of that time of Kingfisher Airlines and Kingfisher as a brand,
Absolutely.
because I remember when we first time saw the advertisements for Kingfisher Airlines, it looked very impressive. It actually looked very impressive.
I that reminds me. I'm sure it looked very impressive, and to some people, it looks like that we're gonna. So we used to have these small little LCDs, right, for our safety announcements and entertainment for the passengers. So over there, this model who's showing the safety equipments and everything, doing the announcements and everything. And there's one passenger sitting on the seat. We've not taken off, we're on ground. I'm passing by. I've had this crazy experiences. I mean, it's beyond laughable, okay? And the announcement stopped and the safety, this thing stopped, everything. And then he asked me, वो अब नाच कब होगा? I was like, excuse me, sir, like what naach are you talking about? So in English, I'll say, he said it in Hindi, he's like, are you guys not going to be dancing over here like models, like how they show in the advertisement and this? I was like, really? Is that what you guys are like portraying, that, oh, we're going to do some ballet here, some dance for your entertainment? That was the kind of expectation people were coming, boarding the aircrafts with. It was just, they had entered some different world. I had one Australian couple entering, and we were welcoming them. And then by then, business class had started operating and everything. It was functional. And they entered in our business class. Oh, we were serving lobsters and lobster thermidors and whatnot, caviars, and nobody was doing that. And this couple enters, and for a sudden, they just they were taken aback, and for a second they thought they've entered the wrong aircraft. They just stood back and they're like, where's this flight going to? So where are you going? It's like, I checked the boarding card and everything was fine. It's like, no, this is the correct flight. They're like, wow. They were smitten.
That's Kingfisher.
That's Kingfisher for you. Wow. We were serving 8-course meals in business class.
Yeah, I've flown Kingfisher. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so like you mentioned, so I'm going to come back to your commercial flying days. You mentioned that incident where this gentleman happened to snap his fingers and call you.
Yeah.
Any other incident that comes to your mind that you'd like, that you can go ahead and share?
Oh, yes, the funny one. There's so many funny ones. So as I was passing by the galley yet again, this guy is sitting in the window, and he calls to me and he addresses me with, I was like, okay, here we go again. Somehow I never felt angry, and I just felt that happiness. Wow, some entertainment on board now for us, because everything is going smooth. Then it's not.
So he was a passenger.
He was a passenger, and he said, I immediately, I've never planned that I'm gonna say this, or that's how I'm gonna fix him and teach him a lesson or anything. I was so spontaneous at the time. And the moment he said, I said, sir, क्या बोल रहे हो? ऐसे थोड़ा ना बुलाते हैं cabin crew को. आपके आसपास वाले लोग क्या सोचेंगे आपके बारे में? सब पढ़े लिखे लोग बैठे हैं. It doesn't look nice. Then he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, sorry. I said, say excuse me, okay? The bell baja do. Like, oh, okay, okay, sorry, sorry. I said, no, it's okay.
Oh, that's how. So I think it's lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness. I mean, they're all nice people. They just don't know कि ऐसे नहीं करना है.
So how do you deal with kids? So I had asked you about celebrity kids when they get into flights. So how do you deal with kids in corporate? How do you experience young children?
I think we don't have to really deal with the kids in corporate aviation because the kids have two nannies, two nurses traveling with them.
Oh.
They're being taken care of. But yes, of course, we take care in terms of like overlooking. Their food that they've called for is ordered for, and whatever they want, it's there. Everything they're gonna do, they're gonna give. There's no, but in commercial. So there's one funny, there's in every flight there is one kid who's gonna be always crying, right? Or will be blocking the galley because now that's our area of work, up and down, we have to do 100 times up and down, and there's one kid there, then it's safety wise, it's not good for the kid. You can fall down and everything, but people just like they're carefree, like okay, fine, flight attendants will take care. Some of them will just bring the child back to the galley, we're playing with them, and all of that. So this one kid, his mother was like a 15-20 minutes trying to like calm him down, keep quiet, and chup ho ja. I was just constantly crying.
Young child or infant?
Not an infant, child. Was walk, run and everything. This much height maybe. So somehow I was in the aft and he came running and crying and all of that. So I was like, the mother is not able to handle, I have to do something about it. Please don't mind me. It was just, just a way to, obviously I was not going to do that, in jail. I told him, next time you cry, I see you crying, I'm going to flush you down the toilet. I opened the door, I, pressed and when you press the button, everything comes with so much pressure. It's like, next time I'm going to flush you down the toilet. He went back to his mother and he sat quiet throughout the flight, but he kept looking at me, jumping on the seat and only
He
this.
got his attention.
And then by the end of it, we were laughing and we were winking at each other and it was fine. The problem was solved, basically.
There is an incident that I want to mention that became very popular on social media. There is a stand-up comedian, I'm not going to name him, and there's a very famous journalist. They were on the same flight, okay? So Arnab was on a flight and Arnab Goswami was on a flight, and there is a stand-up comedian who kept, who kept bothering him, passing comments at him, and he just went on and on. Arnab very nicely, the way he should have, ignored it. That's the smartest thing he did. It was the coolest thing he did. He ignored him completely, and that guy made a fool of himself. I again have this question that, and मैं हिंदी में पूछता हूँ थोड़ा सा, ठीक है? Earlier flying was classy. Earlier flying was from one place to another was considered to be an experience. Why has it become such a जनता का train up in the air these days? मतलब ऐसा क्या change हो गया that लोग मार धाड़ कर रहे? Because you would experience that in trains earlier. 20 years ago, you'd see these things happening in buses and trains, and that to, specific places. Now, when you see something like this happening in a flight, like you mentioned, somebody came and slapped the passengers, you can't train them. I get it. Passengers, they will behave based on their mood and the weather and time and a lot of other factors. But when it comes to the crew, what do you feel is missing in terms of their training? Because I have had bad experiences with airline companies. I'm not going to name them, but I'd love to do it sometime on one of my podcasts. I've had a very bad experience with one or two airline companies, not because of that brand, but because of the people who work with that brand, especially the cabin crew. To a point where I'll share one incident. I was sitting quiet and this air hostess had to come and ask me twice. The second time she had to come and ask me to put my phone on flight mode. My intention was not to, bother her, But I had to respond to that message, and I was putting it on flight mode. The second time when she came and reminded me, it was really rude. It was off the mark, and I was surprised. What has flipped?
She was really rude, or would you call it she was assertive?
No, she was rude. Assertive. See, this is not new. It's not new to me. I've had friends. You were there. I've had friends who have handled passengers as cabin crew. So I know the limit, and I would not be disrespectful to them. She was off the mark. So that was one red flag, and I remember noticing this for a while. Something has changed in the way they behave with passengers, the way they behave. What has changed?
I think if I psychoanalyze this situation, see, everybody's going through something in their life, right? All of us, including the flight attendants, cockpit crew, and everything. Now, for her to be rude the second time to you, which obviously she was wrong at doing that, she could have handled it in a different way, because it's not that fifth time she was coming and she was being rude the fifth time, right? And the fifth time. So it could crop up from, lack of rest. As a flight attendant, as crew, there's a lot of accumulative fatigue that we guys go through. That takes a toll on your body physically. And that's what happens. Then everything is, all your anger, your rage is spilling out of you. It has to find an outlet, right? And it has to come out somewhere. So that's how it's coming out. It came out in her case. Again, I can only assume there could be a totally different story what she must be, or maybe there was lack of behavioral training or customer service skills that she went through. Because see, right now what's happening is there's so much of demand, and there's so much of supply as well. They're hiring any and everyone. So when what happens when things like that happen, the quality always goes down. It's simple math, right? Because they need more people. Retention is very less in this industry, and everybody is dispensable. You don't have one, you have hundreds standing to do the same job. Now in corporate aviation, there is a facility wherein we as flight attendants, we can do freelance flights also. Unless we're, associated with a company, we're employed by a company, then we can't. But we can do, let's say I can operate from home, in terms of like, there are 20 operators in Delhi, and I'm in touch with them, with all of them. I know all of them by now because I've flown for a decade, right? Over a decade. And sometimes their crew falls sick and they need, because see, they don't have, 500 cabin crew flying for their company, like how in commercial it happens, 1,000 crew. They're 1, 2, 3, depending upon the size of the company and the number of aircrafts they have, right? So the need of a freelancer is very much that exists, right? So we have the advantage of flying freelance, doing freelance flights for them. Now what happens is, in commercial, that can't be done, right? Now we have more opportunities in terms of, obviously we can't fly commercial. Sorry, I lost the thought. What was I saying?
We were talking about why is the commercial crew, the quality of the commercial crew dropped so much.
No, I was trying to connect something and then
saying that the commercial crew is the same crew that is flying over and over again. Over here, you have flexibility and opportunity in corporate.
Yeah. And now what has started happening is, there's a lot of crew from commercial airlines that's being hired in corporate aviation. Now, crew coming from commercial airlines, they are not coming from a full-fledged service airline, right? Wherein they're selling things.
What is a service airline?
It's a full-service airline, right?
What does the mean?
Wherein it's a full service, wherein the meals are fresh. You're served meals. There's a starter. There's a main course. There's a dessert. there's steps to the service, right? You board the flight, you get cold. It's a full service airline. Starting from when it's a like it happens in business class. Let's say that.
The reason I'm asking is because
Yeah,
my audience also would not understand this term, full service airline.
yeah,
Airline to airline hota hamare liye.
yeah,
So what is the meaning of a full service airline?
yeah. Full serve where you're not selling things and you are served properly. In airlines like Indigo and SpiceJet and everything, you gotta buy something or you gotta pre-book the meal, or it is not called a full service. These are sandwiches and cup noodles and things like that they're serving, right? We are bringing Kobe sizzlers and
Okay.
caviars and this and whatnot.
Okay. Because
So
is it because your clientele is different? Obviously.
no, we're working in private, right? That is the norm. It is supposed to be a full service. Like Kingfisher was a full service airline, wherein you have on ground service, wherein you're being served. We used to serve Appy Fizz in champagne glasses. You're given cold towels or hot towels according to the season, and you're given some on ground refreshments and everything. Then you take off, and then your meal service starts. Then your dessert ends with dessert, and then your hot towel service starts. Then your newspaper magazine service happens. So
Have you ever experienced any international cricketer? I mean, have you ever flown with any international cricketer?
I think once Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes. Okay.
And I have a very blur memory of that, but once long time back.
And how does it feel when you have these international sports people or international actors or, people of that genre flying? How was the experience with them?
I think they're more welcoming. They're more eager to have a conversation with you, because obviously for them it's a different country. It's a different person from a different
Culture.
background, culture that they're coming from. So I think they're more talkative.
What is the high in this particular industry, and what is the low in this industry? Genuinely, as per you, what do you call a high and what do you call a low in this industry?
Personally speaking, high for me in this industry is when a flight schedule is being circulated, right? And underneath that, it's been assigned the flight attendant as well, who's going to operate this flight. When my cockpit crew calls or they see the message and it's my name written and they say, "Oh, thank God it's Rupali." Or when I'm not there, they call me, "Why aren't you flying? Why aren't you doing this flight?" That is my high.
Okay.
Because the main core job is to make and to run everything seamless. There is no room of error. There can't be. It does not exist in this profession, in this industry, because it is the most safety oriented industry.
What's the low?
Low is when we're constantly going and staying in 5-star hotels and we have to request the chef. I'm really grateful that I have this low. People have like, oh my God, the kind of lows they have. My low is, you end up eating outside food so much that you have to request the chef to make some, home-style bhindi fry for us.
So because
That's
that's hilarious. You guys get tired of living in 5-star hotels?
Oh, not at all.
You don't?
Not at all.
But you miss home food.
Yes.
So you order for home food in a 5-star hotel.
We even tell them how to make it. I do that because I'm very, very specific and very, this thing about touchy about my food. You say this word. Very touchy.
How often do you guys fly to the northeast of India?
I've flown very less actually. Recently, I had gone to Guwahati. Just once is what I remember right now.
Which sector do you guys fly the most?
It's actually it's everything. It's all over India, But we've been lately we've been doing a lot of Mumbai, Bangalore, a lot of Chennai is happening these days.
A lot of, again, celebrities, they have pets. You spoke about Ram Charan's
Rhyme,
dog.
yeah.
How many of them come with really irritating pets? That होंगे कुछ ऐसे जो, they must be carrying their better half with them.
I feel I'm an animal whisperer. If I didn't have to be a flight attendant, I would have been an animal whisperer. I get along with all the animals.
Which is the strangest animal that a celebrity has got on board?
I haven't met any strangest animals. I don't think.
Ponies.
No, you can't carry a pony in an aircraft. I'm sure. I mean, there could be. I don't know. I have not seen. I have not heard anyone carrying a pony. You just can't. It is not possible.
So now I'm going to wrap up the last bit by asking you a couple of very straight up questions.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. And if you want to kind of, dive into it a little deep, it's up to you.
Okay.
What would make you leave this industry?
Nothing.
How many more years do you see yourself working in this industry?
For as long as possible. For as long as it's physically possible for me.
What is more important when you're working with the aviation industry? Is it the network that you are building that is better, or is the money better?
It keeps me on my toes.
Okay, so it keeps you on your toes, that is the job profile. I'm asking in terms of network and how much you make. Which one would you give more weightage to?
I wouldn't give any of this a weightage because this is a byproduct of flying with corporate aviation. So these things have become normal. It doesn't really affect, right? But if I were not to be on my toes and doing another profession, that would kill me. So what happens is, I'll tell you, when we get up as a flight attendant, when I get up in the morning, from then to I come back, there's movement, there's constant movement. First you sit in the car, you go to the airport, you get down there, you go to the briefing room, you do your briefing, then again you go through the airport, your belts, and you go to the aircraft. There you set the aircraft. You're always constantly moving. Then you land. Your car will take you to the car outside of the airport. Then you go to the hotel. Then you check in. You are always, and you're at work, right? But you're always moving. So if I were to not be on my toes and sitting behind a screen from 9 to 5, and that I have to do for 5 days, which in between I had, I took a sabbatical and then I tried something else. And gosh, I felt I'm going to go into depression. And every second that I did that, and I was like, I was wasting my life. In 1 month's time, I felt, this is not for me. I have to get back to flying. And I did immediately.
Superb. It was really nice talking to you, Bali. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. I got to know a lot of things that I did not know about the aviation industry, including a few very interesting incidents that you shared, and your serendipity with celebrities off and on here and there. It's been really nice. Thank you so much for joining my podcast once again. I really appreciate you taking time out to come to Dehradun.
Thank you so much, Arun. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored that you called me for your podcast. Usually friends are like, not calling the friends, but for you to think of me in that high regard to be on this podcast is, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, man.